Hi, I'm Miss Taylor. I'm here at Chapel Glen in the 5th grade, and we've been learning about ecosystems, and Mr. Crosslin is our guest today, and he's going to help us learn some more.
Thank you for such a warm welcome. You know, we've been studying ecosystems, and I'm so happy to be here today because we're going to talk about one aspect of ecosystems, and that is how our school, our building, and our school grounds have impacted the ecosystem that used to be here. So in just a moment, we're probably going to go outside and make some observations. So first of all, this was not always a place for a school. At one time, this was a forest in Indiana, a deciduous forest where the leaves fell off every fall, and in the springtime, new buds came, and it was a cycle that happened over and over again. At some time, pioneers came in here and cut down most of the large trees to use for their houses and for the industry and to build things. Eventually, even some of those were cut down and turned into cornfields. And I know for a fact that where this school is right now used to be a cornfield. And there was also evidence that a long time ago, Native Americans lived here because we have found stone tools. So right where you're standing now was a forest, was a homestead, was a cornfield, and today it's a school. And so our impact, people have made a big impact on this ecosystem. Before we go outdoors, let's do a little quick lesson on something called native and non-native plants and animals. As a matter of fact, native means plants and animals that have been here for a long time. Non-native or invasive species are plants and animals that either came here or were brought in by people. So, Mrs. Taylor's put together a little slideshow on invasive species, and the one that I'm really interested in is something called the emerald ash borer, or its nickname is the EAB. This emerald ash borer, we're going to actually see, it actually came into this country on a wood pallet or shipping materials, probably through the Great Lakes from Russia and Asia. Unfortunately, when it landed here, it has no predators, and it's taken over, destroying a lot of our trees. The emerald ash borer here in Indiana right now. Another thing that's come over, and this came over in the water that ships use to make themselves balance as they cross the ocean. It's called ballast. And the ballast water, when they got to Lake Michigan, they drained the water out of their ships, and inside that water were these things called zebra mussels that have no predators, and they're taking over the waterways, and they're clogging up everything because nothing will eat them. That's the zebra mussel. One of the ones I hate the most, and we really try to keep out of Indiana, is something called kudzu. This was brought into the country on purpose to stop erosion. They thought if they planted this on the sides of hills after they cut through them, it would stop the rocks and the mud from sliding because the roots would hold it in place. The trouble is, as you can see, kudzu covers everything, including trees, including houses and cars. This is an invasive species that we can't get rid of. Now this one, you might think, oh, that's kind of cool. This is an Asian carp. It was introduced in this country to eat grass. Unfortunately, it got loose in our waterways, and it is multiplying by the millions. And it's coming in. It's already in the Wabash River here in Indiana, and it looks kind of funny on the YouTube videos when you see a picture of this guy. When the boats go by, the way it escapes predators is to jump up out of the water. That's kind of funny. But what's not funny, it's eating all the plants that regular fish eat. There's no predators, and this fish is taking over our waterways. If it gets in Lake Michigan, we're going to be in big trouble. That's the Asian carp. Now, you might think, oh, that's a cute bird. That's the English sparrow. We have those in our yard. But this bird actually came out from England. It rode on passenger ships and freight ships across the ocean. It landed in New York. All ashore, the people went, the bird came also. No predators. There are billions of these have been living through their life cycle in the last 100 years here in Indiana. The English sparrow, not from Indiana. Next, we have the starling. Maybe you've seen these birds that swarm in the evenings around here, big flocks of them. Once again, not from here, taking up the food and the habitat of animals that are native to Indiana. And I think we have maybe one or two more that I want to show you. Oh, this was an experiment that went really, really horribly wrong. Some rabbits were introduced into Australia. Not very many of them, maybe 20 or 30. They got loose. They do what rabbits did. They multiplied and multiplied until they overtook the country, eating grasses and all the different plants that kangaroos and other animals plant. So an invasive species could be something that causes a lot of trouble because it messes up the ecosystem. It puts it out of balance. So do you have any questions? Yes, sir.
What's so bad about all the animals?
So what's so bad about those animals coming here, right? Well, that depends on who you talk to. For example, the English sparrow, we kind of like sparrows, right? They're cute, I guess. But we used to have songbirds here and all types of other birds that used to make our home. When a sparrow comes in, that takes up habitat and food of something that used to be here. What's bad about those Asian carp is our rivers are very diverse. Does anybody know what diverse means? It's in a habitat where there are lots of different types of what?
Animals.
Plants and animals. When an Asian carp comes in, it eats everything, and now we only have one type of fish, Asian carp. Yes?
Why can't we just kill the Asian?
That's probably going to be the best thing to do. If the Asian carp tastes good and we find a way to cook it and eat it, then everybody can eat that. And that's what we're trying. That's probably going to be the best thing. I know we're setting up barriers, but it's really hard to stop something once it's here. It's a lot easier to not let it get here in the first place. And you can do some research. I know you guys have been studying about pollution, how that affects, right?
Yes.
What else have you been studying about? About
Littering.
littering, how that affects an ecosystem. What else?
Recycling.
What else?
Recycling.
Recycling what?
Like plastic bottles.
Plastic bottles, glass,
Paper.
paper,
Reducing.
reducing what you use,
Reusing.
reusing what you use. So
Pollution.
electricity, conserving, that means like reducing, reusing things, and recycling. Those all help our environment, our ecosystem. Yes. Oh, food waste. That's one of my big ones. I look at all the food that kids don't eat in the cafeteria, and I think we are so wasteful because so many people are starving in this world, and we throw away way too much food. Any other questions? One more? Yes. What is that? I'm sorry? Well, let's take a look at that right now up close. So, Jaden, this is what you're talking about. You did a rank and defend on this. Explain what's going on here.
When it affects the world.
When it affects the ecosystem, what are some of the things? You rank them?
Littering.
Littering, is that good? Did you put that at the top or the bottom?
The top.
So which one is most important to you?
Pollution.
Not to pollute, okay? So we have littering, we have pollution. Check your water usage. No what? No food waste.
Energy usage.
Check your energy usage. Recycle, reduce, reuse. All great things to keep our ecosystems healthy and balanced. Hey, let's go outside and see if we can see some impact of some of these things on our school. Okay, so we're at the back of the school, and this is where all the stuff comes in and goes out of the school. Supplies, materials, food, utilities. And so what I like about Chapel Glen is we found ways to reduce some of our wastes. And we actually have a machine that melts down all of your foam lunch plates, and that's being reused. We also have the trash here that picks up this trash, takes it out to a landfill where it's mixed in, and as it rots, it gives off methane gas. That gas is captured and makes electricity. I've been there. There's a show that you can see called Where Trash Goes on WFYI.org, Indiana Expeditions. I follow trash to the landfill. I also follow trash. Look over here. This is a container for recycling, and it's filled with cardboard, plastic, glass, and metal that helps us recycle and reuse. So one thing you want to think about when you think about the impact of the school is that it takes a lot of utilities to run the school. We have to have water coming in. We have to have electricity coming in. We have to have gas coming in. And all those things come into your school, and it's your job to conserve them so we don't waste electricity as it comes in, or waste the gas, or the telephone, or the electricity, or the internet. All that is a utility. Now, when the water comes in, when you guys drink or flush the toilet, all that waste goes out and is treated again. But what happens when it rains? Let me show you. Check this out. So, when this building was built, there used to be a cornfield, before that a forest. Anytime it rains now, that water's got to go someplace. So all the rainwater on the roof and on the parking lot goes through these sewers, and there's two types of sewer. One is for when they flush the toilet, that's a sanitary sewer, and the other one is for when the storm water goes to the creek. Let's go check it out. We're outside, over in the parking lot right here is a storm sewer. When it rains, it all goes right down into here. Now let's find out where it goes from here. We follow the storm drain. The water from the roof, the parking lot, goes down a storm drain underground and comes out right here in this small little creek. So this is joining a natural creek, and the water flows all the way down the stream. Can you imagine what would happen if you threw pollution, oil, or something out in that parking lot? Where would it end up? It ended up in the drain, then where would it end up?
In the storm.
In the storm drain, and then where would it end up? In the creek, and would kill all the animals downstream. So it's real important that when you guys are talking about conserving, reusing, reducing, you're also talking about not polluting, not dumping oil in places that will get back into our ecosystem. Okay, so you see there's been a lot of logging activity here. And as you can see right over here, this tree, there's about 40 or 50 trees that have been cut down. And the reason is, if you look behind me over here, these trees had to be cut down because of the emerald ash borer. It got into these trees, laid eggs, small little bitty larvae went through the bark, ate and destroyed the tree. And they are spreading all across Indiana. Almost 1 out of every 10 trees are going to be affected. Let's go take a closer look. Okay, so this tree has been cut down. You know, a tree, you can check the layers. Every year it grows, there's another ring. You can tell how old a tree is. Now, a tree has bark that protects it, but you can see that some sort of animal has burrowed and laid eggs in here. They burrow through the bark, and this is the part that's killing the tree. You see all these little lines right here?
Yeah.
What happens is an emerald ash borer lands, chews, bores, that means drills, chews a hole through, lays an egg. When that egg hatches into a larva, it starts chewing its way. It eats this wood. It likes this wood. It eats all this wood. It turns into another emerald ash borer, flies off, reproduces, lays more eggs. Every one of these little tracks right here, this is the bark of the tree. When the bark is destroyed, it's like the tree has no skin to be protected. So this is evidence of parasites that have destroyed these trees. Now the bad news is that people, I saw somebody yesterday come get a pile of firewood. They thought, oh, this is cool, firewood. So they're going to take this wood and maybe go camping somewhere else in Indiana. What they don't know is on this wood might be hitchhiking emerald ash borers And once again, people can impact the ecosystem. If you take this wood, let's say you go down to southern Indiana and set up a campfire, you lay the wood on the ground, one of those little emerald ash borers, they crawl out and start a whole new colony down there. So people can impact an ecosystem in a positive way or a negative way. Which way do you guys want to do it?
Positive.
Me too.
One colony, another colony. But what if it one just jumped out? Oh yeah, that'd be not cool.
Then make
Come on.